Disney insiders unloaded on the BBC and what they did botching Doctor Who over the last few years. There's a lot to unpack with this article, as Deadline actually interviewed a lot of different people at Disney who had a few interesting things to say. The one that's going around is, of course, pretty interesting. They're almost on the mark with what the problem is, but they're also wrong, which I'll get into in just a moment. Please hit the like and subscribe button as we talk about all things Doctor Who and all things science fiction here. This is your real science fiction news. My name is John Delarose. I'm a sci-fi writer myself. If you like my thoughts on writing and enjoy the channel, I urge you to check out my Valiant Frontiers. This is a trilogy I've written over the last year and a half that is beautiful stuff, and it actually culminates in a time travel adventure called Time Bomb, and it's the most complicated, best science fiction I've ever written. Check it out. Great characters in this. None of the weird identity politics stuff. You're really going to love this. It's in the description below, and I appreciate everybody supporting our channel and getting in on this wonderful sci-fi property. All right. It's been rumored for months. It's become a reality. They say Disney Plus is exiting, as we learned just the other day that the BBC finally admitted to what was going on, what we knew for a long, long time. And in fact, we've been talking about how it's going to get canceled even in season 1 of this travesty, which really there was just one season. I hate the way they phrase things these days, because it was 16 episodes and a couple of specials, right? And so 16 episodes and a couple specials back in the day meant one season. Now they split it into 2 to make it look like it was longer than it actually was. That's what happened with this whole setup over with Ncuti Gatwa and Russell T Davies. I think it's just like a way to try to look more successful than you actually are. They fake it till you make it, and that's the name of Hollywood and the like. And so that's what we have here. Now, they admitted it, and of course, they tried to hide and bury the information with we've got a new Christmas special 2026 coming, which of course they get into a little bit in here, which it bodes pretty interesting. So there is a spin-off series, The War Between the Land and the Sea, coming out, which they still have not given a release date for yet. They were delaying it to 2026. They're now saying it's going to dump at the end of 2025. There's been very little to no marketing on this, which tells me that Disney's ready to just dump it out and just get rid of it, right? So that's what's coming very, very soon. I'll try to watch that for you guys. I'll see if I can get through it. I don't know. But here it is. The BBC remains fully committed, as we know. Now, when this goes on, this is the wrong article I've got up right now. Oh my gosh, I got yesterday's article up. This is the plight of being a YouTuber. All right, I wrote my own summary of this, and as you get into it, they actually interviewed some insiders and talked about exactly what we knew was going on here. So this was riddled with controversy from the beginning. We knew it was completely filled with identity politics. The entire intention of it was pushing identity politics. Russell T Davies stated at 2024 Comic-Con that he cared far more about trans rights than people liking Doctor Who. And it's like, well, wait a minute, your job is to make people enjoy Doctor Who. You're an entertainer. That's literally what you're here to do. He was hired and he was given carte blanche, so he decided to just go full activist. And now he's out there complaining, crying that he's censored and the like. It's insane, because if he was censored, none of this stuff would have existed whatsoever. Nobody would have hired this who was actually trying to make a profit or anything. They were all in on his politics. And I think that Disney and others actually thought that the woke politics, the social justice stuff, being permeating and everything was far more popular than it actually was. In the wake of all the 2020 Black Lives Matter riots and the likes, we saw that these people just got really, really emboldened, and they thought that was everything was out there, because they just got themselves into an echo chamber and didn't realize how small of an audience that actually was. So when this all came out, of course, it flopped worse than ever before. Very, very easy to expect at that point. Now, beyond that, getting even out of the politics of it, the episodes really were poorly constructed the last couple of seasons, too. Russell T Davies didn't hire people who were good at writing science fiction. He hired his little woke friends. And then his episodes, too, just were nonsensical. It was very, very weird. And this is what we saw going on, and this is obviously what destroyed it. Now, they still are tacitly just kind of going crazy on this. The former executive says, it was pretty apparent from early on this wasn't for the long term, okay? Everyone got the impression that it wasn't doing what it needed to do on Disney Plus to be sustained. Well, that was pretty obvious. We called out the ratings very early on, and actually Bad Wolf reached out to us and told us the ratings were fine. They were great. They were dandy, which was an abject lie. And of course, we know that Doctor Who was not doing well and did not actually chart on any of the Nielsen ratings. People were not watching it. It gets interesting on this. Another said, the writing writing has been on the wall for ages. There's a complete lack of enthusiasm over at Disney. Well, what I heard early on when I actually talked to insiders on this was that Disney was not super interested in producing new episodes of Doctor Who with this. They were courting the BBC to get this so that they could get the back catalog of Doctor Who, because those back catalogs are really what makes streaming networks go. People love to binge watch these old shows over and over again. I'm rewatching Doctor Who right now. I'm actually watching Tom Baker's season 12. I'm on the last episode of The Ark in Space. Let me know if you're a Tom Baker fan in the comments down below, and what your favorite episode of his was. I would love to hear that. Just checking to see who's listening. All right, good stuff, but that's what Disney really wants. Paramount Plus makes a lot of its money off of old Star Trek episodes because people watch those over and over and over again. It's something that is worth watching over and over and again, and this is what they were trying to get out of it. Since that was not really on the table from the BBC, they really were not interested, and it was early on. And they knew that the new ones were not going to do as well. It was very, very obvious from the beginning. Now, what gets very interesting on this, too, is they know that it was not being shouted as a big success, even though we kept being told otherwise. It was a complete lie out of the BBC, as always. This is interesting from a Disney exec, though, saying it was too woke for Trump's USA, and that was a factor in Disney's minds. Now, this is pretty interesting right here, and this is exactly what everybody's latching onto with this. And he's correct. It's definitely too woke, and that's exactly a large reason of why it's failed. But this is pretty interesting, too, Trump's USA. Now, this premiered before Trump was back in office for Trump 2.0 here, and so it wasn't really a thing. This is when everybody was like thinking that it was a lock, woke one, and it was a disaster out there for everything, because that's what the media was keeping saying over and over and over again. Very, very interesting that they then say this. You can tell they're just bitter about the current political environment, because what this did was not that it changed anybody's minds. It's not that people stopped being woke. All of Hollywood's exactly the same. All of these people are exactly the same. They're still the worst identitarians out there, which is why they still don't quite understand what's wrong with Doctor Who, or what to do with it, or who to even hire with this. This is the problem with still the BBC and still Disney with all of their properties. Nothing's really changed in that front either. And so what actually has changed is like the Band-Aid kind of got ripped off to where we can actually see the exposed wound now, right? And so it was being hidden before. The media was hiding it before, and they've kind of just all gone, oops, so we see this now. Our bad. It's Trump's fault, right? That's pretty funny when you get into this on there. So they talked about the Christmas special as well with these insiders. And what's interesting about what's going on with Doctor Who is, of course, the episode totals. There's been varying reports on it. That is between $6 million and $13 million per episode spent on this, which is an astronomical amount for Doctor Who. And they'll have to go back down to what normal BBC budget episodes were when they come right out of this. That's going to be a painful thing for them. And of course, Russell T Davies is used to, at this point, putting the shiny effects and trying to distract you, much like a lot of the modern TV storytelling tries to do. That's how they get around not having any shows. Again, just going back to Tom Baker's stuff. I mean, I'm watching this Ark in Space. It's really entertaining. You have great characters. You have a cool sci-fi concept. It's wonderful. I've watched it before, and I'm watching it again. You know, a guy pulls out his arm, and it's got bubble wrap like taped around his arm that's like spray painted green to make it look like an alien lizard arm. And then you have a guy in a spray painted green sleeping bag scooting around the floor. It's ridiculous. But guess what? It's still better. You can't just like put a ton of flashy lights and different CGI effects onto a crappy script and make it work. They need to learn this. But it's interesting. The source here said that once you've gone up in terms of budget, it's always difficult to go back down. You can cut budgets to a certain degree, but not by so much. Is the BBC really going to stump up even more for something that's showing decline? So if they're going back to what Who used to be, we're talking like maybe a $3 million budget, $4 million budget for a Christmas special, and that's going to be difficult for them to pull off in the current environment, because now the audience is used to having so much better effects. Can they really go back down and pull it off? Well, Russell T Davies is writing it, so I'm not worried that it's going to be good by any stretch of the imagination, and he's going to have to explain away the Billy Piper doctor incident, which is the worst part of all this that have come out of it, because it's ridiculous and makes no sense whatsoever. So gosh, good luck with that. All right, leave a comment down below with what you think about this. Do you think it's too woke for Trump's USA? Was that the problem with Doctor Who? Leave a comment down below. Please check out Valiant Frontiers. This is wonderful sci-fi, guys, just like you used to read. Check it out. It's in the description below. Support our channel. Really appreciate you guys being there. We'll be back soon.